Director General of Goods and Services Tax Intelligence, which is the central board of indirect taxes in our country, has recently issued notices to the biggest cab aggregators in our country, Uber and Ola, for evasion of GST. This video is going to tell you everything about that particular probe and also what can we as entrepreneurs learn out of it. I'm Swati Singhania and we are knocking financial literacy for all entrepreneurs out there. Do not forget to like and subscribe our channel because we keep on bringing a lot of videos and content especially focused on entrepreneurs and financial literacy so that we can have a super great business journey. So now let's understand why this probe against Uber and Ola. So for you to understand that, let's first understand how is GST charged by the cab aggregators. These cab aggregators have two options. Either they can charge GST at 5% or they can charge GST at 12%. Obviously, this will be divided between SGST and CGST. Now, when they charge GST at 5%, so let's assume you book a Uber where the basic fees is 500 rupees. Now, Uber or Ola or such cab service providers will charge 5% on it, which will be 25 rupees, which will be divided between SGST and CGST. Now, in this situation where they are charging 5% from their consumer, they won't be able to claim input on all the services that they are purchasing. So let's say they are paying for telephone bills, let's say they are paying for their electricity bills, or let's say they are paying for any other services. They would not be able to claim input on these services that they are paying for. However, on the other hand, Uber and Ola can claim the input on all these services that they are purchasing, which is telephone, electricity, etc. But if they have to claim this input, they will have to charge 12% from their consumers. So that means the 500 rupees of cab service will have an added tax of 12%, which is 60 rupees. So you will have to pay 560 rupees to Uber or Ola or any such cab service provider. So this means that the consumer will be paying more for the cab service and hence they would not be that economical as in the market. Now, to remain competitive in the market, what these cab service providers do is that they charge 5% on all their services. And hence, we as consumers gain out of it because we only pay 525 rupees instead of 560 rupees, which we may have to pay if they charge 12% GST. Now, in this situation, what government says is that you cannot claim input of the other services that you provide. Now, there is a catch to this story. And because the government is smarter most of the times, if you see in the whole chain of cab aggregators, there is another service provider, which is the drivers. In fact, in most of these cases, these drivers are not on the payroll of Uber and Ola. So-called, they are not their salaried employees. Now, these cab service providers pay commission to these drivers. So let's take the same example of 500 rupees. Out of the 500 rupees that you paid to your cab service provider for your taxi service, let's assume they paid 100 rupees to the cab driver. So that means on this 100 rupees, Uber or Ola or any such case would have to charge GST from the driver because the driver is not a registered party, which is called the RCM or reverse mechanism. What happens is that Uber or Ola can charge 5% from the driver and pay their 5% directly to the government instead of paying it to the driver, and they can then again take input of that. So 100 rupees is what if they are paying to their driver, 100 rupees will straight away go to the driver and 5 rupees, that is the 5% on that service, will be paid by Uber or Ola to the government. So let's put a table here for you guys. So 500 rupees taken, 25 rupees on it, which is 5%, 525 rupees taken from you for the cab service that you took. 100 rupees out of that was paid to the driver and 5% out of that had to be paid to the government as RCM or reverse charge mechanism GST. So that meant out of 525 rupees that Uber took from you, 100 rupees had to go to the driver and 30 rupees had to go to the government. And the balance would remain with Uber. However, what is really happening is The 25 rupees is only going to the government and 5 rupees is not being paid to the government. This is as per the notice issued by DGGI. Now, both the companies, which is Uber and Ola in this news, have said that they are tax-abiding companies and they are monitoring the situation closely with the authorities, and they will do whatever is necessary to ensure that taxation is maintained in their company. So we really don't know what would be the result of this notice that DGGI has issued. But this is something these companies are going through. Now here comes the interesting fact. One fun fact for you. Now this notice says that Uber owes 800 crores to the government and Ola owes 300 crores to the government. So that meaning if on an average a Uber driver earns anywhere between 12,000 to 20,000 rupees a month. So let's take it at 15,000 rupees. And I did some calculation where I realized that on an average, an Uber driver is paid about 50 rupees per ride. So if I have to take 50 rupees and 5% on 50 rupees, so that means Uber owes this commission for 32,000 rides and Ola owes this commission for 12,000 rides. Now this is totally a fun fact based on some numbers, based on the average statistics that Ola and Uber would be paying to their drivers. This would change based on if they are paying more or less to their drivers as commissions. Now the notice said one more important thing, that both these cab service providers also charge GST from their consumers in case of cancellation of rides. Now going back to the same example, 500 rupees is what you were quoted for your cab service, 25 rupees was GST. Now let's say for some reason before taking the ride you cancelled it and you were still charged 100 rupees as cancellation fees. So Uber or Ola, whatever be the service provider, will charge 5% from you on that 100 rupee. So that meant you will be paying 105 rupees to Uber or Ola in spite of your trip being cancelled. So out of this 105 rupees, 5 rupees has to go to the government and 100 rupees would remain with Uber. And again, there comes, if there is a commission which goes to the driver and then, 5% of RCM on it. Now, this notice of 800 crores and 300 crores respectively for Uber and Ola includes this GST on cancellation fees also. Now, for us as entrepreneurs, it's very important for us to understand that we should not take things lightly, especially when it comes to taxation. RCM, which is slightly a complicated matter, does get charged on a lot of services we think it is not chargeable. So in your company, if you think there are charges that you are paying and you are not paying GST on it, I would strongly recommend that you check whether RCM is applicable or not on that particular service. A lot of times we take services from suppliers which are unregistered with GST. Now RCM is applied on all of these. RCM is not a bad thing. You pay it on behalf of the supplier to the government and then again you can claim input of it. But then if you are not paying RCM on GST services, it would become very challenging, and maybe as the government is getting very stricter on such things, you don't want such notices to come to you. So it's a very good idea for you to check what are the things in your company that you are consuming from unregistered suppliers, and whether RCM, which is reverse charge mechanism, is applicable on that or not. If you're still confused, don't forget to drop in a comment to us. We will try our best to respond on that as soon as possible. This is Swati Singhania signing off from the channel.